Hey guys, welcome back to Keep It 99, the most edifying podcast in the world. And I'm joined here today with Father Butros. Thank you, Father Butros, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
So you're a priest for St. Mina's Coptic Orthodox Church here in Nashville, and you were ordained as a priest in February 1997 and got ordained to a hegumen in February of 2017. So thank you for taking time out of your day and to come on this podcast.
Thank you so much.
So the first question I wanted to ask you is talking about the Coptic community here in Nashville that you helped to create and cultivate. Can you provide an overview of the community's history and maybe some small stories or details on how this community has kind of came to a point of flourishing that it is at today?
Of course, we can see the work of God in the growing of the community in Nashville. The community started in the early 80s here with a few families counted on one hand probably. And in 1987, there were about 5 or 6 families. They gathered together and decided to establish a church after the name of St. Mina, the Wonder Worker. And with their little resources that they have, they invited a priest to come once every 2 weeks to pray the liturgy for them in a church that they rented in downtown Nashville. This continued without noticeable growth till 1996. There is here in town a big resort called Gaylord Opryland Hotel and Resort. They used to bring people from Europe, gives them a temporary 6 months work visa, and then when it's done, they leave. So there was one of these families was a manager at the hotel, and he told them, wait a minute, I can get you some people who can work and stay and have legal documents here. So they gave him the green light to start doing that. So actually they provided him with buses, and he went to New Jersey and met with the priests there and started getting people, actually hiring them there and bring them on the buses to come to Nashville and work for this hotel. At that time, the hotel provided transportation from and to their place of their stay, and also provide a place for them to stay. And also was giving them daily money for food, so they can eat with it from the hotel itself. And the first bus came in I think in February 1996. Immediately, the numbers start increasing rapidly, and with the wisdom of His Grace Bishop Yusuf, immediately started service for these people. With the very little resources that they have, His Grace scheduled the priests of the diocese, each one of them stay from Monday to Friday on his own church's expenses, come and stay here and serve this new community that started growing rapidly. So from Monday to Friday, do liturgies during the week, visitations, and take confessions and stuff like that. And the number start increasing till February of 1997, actually till January of 1997, when Pope Shenouda used to send priests from Egypt to serve the community during the feasts, Nativity and Epiphany. So came a priest who came from Egypt and served during the feast in that period of time. And also at the same time, His Grace chose a person in Egypt to come and to be ordained as a priest for this community. And God shuffled the whole thing, and the priest who came from Egypt did not come. And the person that was chosen to be a priest came and became a priest in some other city. So, and I was ordained in his place here in Nashville in 1997. So the congregation started that way. The numbers started increasing rapidly. And within 3 years, we had over 400 families, and there was a big need for, and also only we had one church, which was St. Mina Church. It was in a different location than this one. And so there was a need for another priest. And in year 2000, the first church was purchased in 1997, before my ordination, and then it was a small building and has no facility for Sunday school or anything. So we used it for a couple of years, and it was very crowded and very tight. So we thought about buying this location here. In 1999, we bought this one. It was an abandoned building, and then we had to convert it to Orthodox usage of a church. And we finished that in year 2000, and Pope Shenouda came in year 2000 and consecrated the altar and the icons, and also ordained the second priest, or a priest, to serve with me in Nashville here, Father Mina, who served with me for a few years and then established another church. And he passed away in 2010.
So that's like a quick insight into the kind of the history behind Nashville. I kind of wanted to delve more into the early years. What were some of the initial challenges that the Coptic community faced here in Nashville around the beginning of your priesthood?
Of course, few challenges, but still the situation exists till now. Those newcomers, when they came from Egypt, of course they don't have the language. So language barrier is a big deal. And to live in Nashville, you have to have a mean of transportation. There is very limited public transportation. And so to learn the permit and the driving and the test and all that stuff, we struggled with the government, tried to let them offer this in Arabic, like they do in Spanish and they do it in German and stuff, but we failed till now. We were not able to convince them. Although nowadays the Egyptian community considered the second largest or the third largest ethnicity group in Nashville, after the Hispanics and the Somalis, I believe. But we could have probably even surpassed the Somalis. We have a huge congregation now in Nashville. But with many promises that we received from the mayors and mayors to be, and all these promises were not fulfilled. So language. Some people who came who do not even know Arabic. Some people came from Egypt that have no clue what anything in English, and they still do not learn. They work. There are so many plants and hotels, and they hire them, and they do not even trying to grasp the language. But although of all of this, you can see how they succeeded in all kind of. They have homes and businesses and everything. So the challenge was the language, of course, and the second is the driving, having a driver's license.
Is there a way that the churches in Nashville and the Coptic community kind of help with those barriers? Is there any programs that are done here in Nashville to kind of help with that, or not necessarily?
Of course, we did. We tried. We did some English classes, but did not continue until now. We've been now there in Nashville for more than 27 years now. So at the very beginning, we did a couple things. We bought vans to bring the people from where they live to the churches, and still some churches do that till today. They have vans to pick up the kids because the parents concentrated on work, so they can provide for their families. So the children suffered from that. So the church started buying vans to transport the kids to the church to attend Sunday school and to the liturgy and stuff, while they are their parents are not able to do that. Still, many people do not have cars, and they carpool because they work in the same areas and same places and stuff like that. We did some. Of course, the other challenge, the kids who came here was very little education. The education in Egypt, it seems like, because they are coming they're coming from Upper Egypt, majority of them, if not 90% of them from Upper Egypt. The education level is very, very bad. So when they came here, they struggled, and we had to do tutoring classes for them to help them with the. One of the funny things, I was invited to a school, elementary school, to talk to the kids, because of the level of bullying and level of kids, fighting with each other. And the principal told me that the capacity of the school is, I can't remember the exact numbers, but like 520 or 550. Over 50% of them were Egyptians. Over 50% of one school, of elementary school, were Egyptians. So I went there, started going there several weeks to try to talk to them about spirituality and how to behave and how to, so these also challenges. Also, definitely one of the challenges, Nashville was a raw city, and they were not introduced to the Egyptians or the Egyptian language at all. So there was no doctors, no professionals at any level. And our people, when they want to go to the hospitals or to the doctors, especially hospitals, so they start having to hire a translation over the phone. And they found the need is more than what they can handle, so they start hiring Arabic interpreters in the hospitals. And for the first few years, they were afraid from the Egyptians for some reason or another. And but in the recent years, when our kids start going to school and prove themselves and start going to all kind of professional schools, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have, you name it now. I have very successful people, and they have in university like Vanderbilt, we have many very successful students and very successful doctors in the medical school, in the medical career in the field, So they start hiring Egyptians because of the need of Arabic speaking people, So these challenges start, some of them, to be solved.
That's very glad to hear that, because I feel like a lot of times for a lot of communities, the stumbling block, or the thing that's stopping them from really exceeding or getting to that next level is a lot of times like lacking solutions to those challenges. But I feel like communities like Jersey and Nashville have kind of found a way to overcome many of the challenges. But one of the challenges that I was wondering a little bit more specifically about is the culture differences. Obviously, Nashville as a city is extremely diverse. That's one of the most diverse cities in America. It's also the fastest growing city in America. How does the Coptic community here keep its cultural traditions and preserve them in such a changing and diverse and unique place like Nashville?
Well, we have a variety of people who were did not change at all from the Egyptian culture and reject to change. And on the other extreme, people who completely changed to the American culture and wanted to be open, wanted to be, saying America is a free country and we can do anything. And so we have the two extremes. And of course, there is a group who adapted to the new culture and was able to manage to get what's the best of both cultures, And these are the smart people who are successful people. The other ones who rejected the culture and rigid about their culture, they having trouble educating their kids and with their families, and they cannot adapt to this new culture at all. And the other one also having different type of problems, being very liberal in the society, and each group has its own problems, the two extremes. The one in the middle, which is what's supposed to be, that we live in this society and benefit out of the good things in it, because every society has good things and bad things. And definitely the good things are there, and we can learn from it, and we can pick on it. But some people clinged to the bad stuff they brought from Egypt and continued living with that mentality, and of course got stuck in the culture in here, and they did not even improve a bit at all.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on the future of Nashville as a Coptic community. What do you see as this community? How do you see it kind of growing, and what do you see it becoming in 10, 20 years from now?
Of course, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen, but I can see, as I started by saying, you can see the hand of God working in this community in a marvelous way. In 1997, when I was ordained, I went to Egypt to meet the Pope, and I told him Nashville, Tennessee. He questioned that several times. What? Where is it? What it's called? Several times. And he finally said, this was not on the map. And yes, it was not on the map. And Nashville was back then as a very small city, to the extent that I gave direction to one person who was coming from Atlanta to Nashville. And then he went through the town, and he didn't notice that he came through it and left from the other side without noticing. So it was too small as of a city back then, in 27 years ago. But actually, the whole city now became, as you said, the most growing city in the United States, and attracting many, many, many people and many businesses. So I can see the hand of God. We started with 5 families, and within a few years we have over 10 churches, and we have 15 priests, and And we need at least another 15 priests here in Nashville. And as we speak, there are 5 churches that is under construction, 5 new churches under construction. So the need is there. You've seen that in the liturgy this morning, how that was. And this is half the capacity, by the way. Yeah, because so many are out in the retreat for the high school boys and girls and with their servants and all that. So it was not as crowded today. But I think we are going in the right direction. I wanted to emphasize that we have a great leader. Mba Yusuf has a vision, and he is a spiritual person that knows the needs of the community and strive to fulfill it. So adding churches, adding priests, open new services in areas. One thing that also he emphasized, and it is very important, the conventions. He insists to have conventions, to take the kids on retreats and to let them experience spiritual maturity in outside of their homes, attending sermons and lectures and liturgies and the retreats. And we do retreats in this winter time and in summertime, So all this added to the growth of the children. And also because of his love to tasbihah and hymns, he inspired the deacons to have a regular tasbihah and regular hymns classes and stuff like that. And he's a pioneer in this career. We admire his work and his leadership in that aspect. He led the church in the right direction. It was like Nashville started from the very beginning, and now it's prosperous. And I think that is going to continue to grow. And also now we have clericaya in Arabic, we have seminary school in English, we have counseling schools, we have Coptic Orthodox school in Nashville, and all these help the community to excel, and the future is bright. I'm very, very positive about that.
Yeah, like I think you said, like the center of the movement is a very strong leader, and then around that is the education to create more leaders that are like that as well. So I also wanted to talk a little bit more about your life before necessarily coming to Nashville and becoming a priest. So could you talk a little bit about some of your childhood in Egypt, what that was like, how you grew up in the faith, and kind of what things you took from that and applied it here? How did those experiences kind of shape the priest you are today?
I do not have much about my childhood. It's just a regular childhood. I was just a regular child going to Sunday school in Egypt, and attending liturgies and stuff. Can't remember how often, but I think it's weekly. But I have been ordained as a deacon when I was in college, and my first father of confession was a bishop in Egypt, and he told me to attend many liturgies as I can. So in college I was attending liturgies kind of like every day if I possibly can, and then definitely that made me close to the church, although I was not know much about deaconship. And then when I came to America, it was a turning point for me toward attending liturgies. Let me tell you, when I first started, we came to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas area, and we did not have a church back then. The early 80s. I came in 1984. I moved to Fort Worth, Texas. There was no church, and the congregation there was very young, very small, and we used to bring a priest from Houston, Texas, to pray a liturgy every 2 weeks. And then I was regularly attending that. And then we built a small church, small chapel to pray. I think we were about 80 families back then. And we received our first priest, and he, Abuna Matthias Suryani, and he started teaching us some hymns. And then when he was ordained as a bishop for Mahalla, he nominated for us Abuna Justus Suryani to be our priest. And Abuna Justus Suryani, as probably you know, he became Bishop Yusuf after that. From the moment that Abuna Justus Suryani came to Fort Worth, Texas, or to the church of Colleyville, actually it was, that was a turning point in my life, because we had a very good relationship. I used to come to church like six times a week, 6 days a week, hymns classes, liturgies, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturday, Sunday, Vespers, and every day I'm together, So I can say that I learned everything from Mb Yusuf that I know, and that was a big positive addition to my knowledge and my spirituality. Till the time came and I was appointed by God through His grace to be ordained a priest in February 1997. So back again from my childhood, it was just a regular childhood. I can't remember much. I wasn't a Sunday school servant, and with Mb Yusuf, I became an active deacon, and then leader of the deacons, and then Sunday school servant, and then a church board member, and then a priest. So gradually he led me into the priesthood step by step.
So next I wanted to ask about you moving to America. What exactly prompted your immigration to America? And then what were some initial challenges that you faced personally when you first moved here?
Well, let me, without going into details, many steps of my life, I do not know how it happened or when it happened and why it happened, but it happened. So let us say that I found myself here in America. And I was asking God, what is the purpose for me being here? You have a purpose for me being here. And later on I realized that I was called for the priesthood, And I said, okay, I know now why you brought me here. My life would be completely different if I didn't come to the States. Matter of fact, I had an immigration to Australia. I am a petroleum engineer, and they were opening immigration to Australia, and they needed engineers. So I applied and had them, But again, after I finished all the interviews and all that, I did not continue for the last step. They wanted my passport to give me the visa, and I didn't do the step. At the time, I found my fiancée and I was engaged, so it was a choice for me. Again, if I chose to go to Australia, my life would be completely different. So I thank God that I didn't go. And again, I found myself in this position, as a priest, and it meant to be this way, I had a feeling of the ordination. Before the ordination, for some reason or another, there was a meeting, and I was supposed to be part of this meeting. And it was a meeting between the two dioceses, the Diocese of Los Angeles and the Diocese of the Southern Diocese, and each to unify the hymns of the liturgy and all that between the two dioceses. And that meeting was February 16, which is the day of my ordination, and I was told about it in November, the year before. And the members of this committee was the hegemon Philemon Mahrous from Los Angeles, and the priest Mina Youssef from the Diocese of Los Angeles. And from our diocese was the hegemon Isaac Sadiq and myself. So I felt something is weird happening, and it was not. But that was my feeling. But it was not in the mind of Amba Youssef, because it did not work out this way, Khalis. It was completely different. There was a priest coming to be ordained. The person, let's go back to the story that I said. The priest that came to pray here in Nashville, the Nativity and the Epiphany, the congregation here told Sayyidina, let him stay with us. So Sayyidina told him, why don't you stay with the congregation? And he said, okay, I'm going to stay. The other person that was asked to come to be ordained as a priest for Nashville came at that time after the priest said, I'm going to stay in Nashville. So there was no need for another priest to be ordained in Nashville at that time. So Sayyidina has changed that person to be ordained in St. Mary, Dallas, Abuna Bulus in Dallas. All right. Exactly 1 week later, we were celebrating the feast of St. Anthony in San Antonio, Texas. All right. And during Vesper, we used to traditionally, every year, we go to San Antonio with Amba Youssef and celebrate the feast of St. Anthony. So during Vespers, or after Vespers, Sayyidina received a call from the priest that came, and he said he's going to come to Nashville, and changed his mind and said, I'm not coming. After it was announced that the person that was coming to be ordained in Nashville, it was announced now he's going to be ordained in St. Mary, Colleyville in Texas. So Sayyidina found out that Nashville still need a priest. Here, when he thought about me, so February 16 was not in the mind in November. It happened in January 25th, when he decided to called me after the liturgy next day and told me about the priesthood. And he said, I'm going to give you 1 week to think about it and give me an answer. Don't give me an answer right now. Your wife has to agree 100%. And I'm coming to Dallas on February 2nd. I'm going to pray liturgy with Amba Besada. I want you to give me an answer on that day. Okay. So the ordination happened here. Found myself. I say he told me you're going to be ordained in Nashville, Tennessee. Many stories, but I don't want to. God gave me so many signs. One of them that somebody is his Sayyidina's secretary. He told me, I know what Yusuf wants you. He's going to send you to Nashville. He did not know anything. Sayyidina told him, call Fulan. So I came in. Before I go, he told me, I know what Sayyidina wants you for. He's going to send you to Nashville. The secretary became Abuna Theophilus in Dallas. Okay. So another person, I was going out of the church, so she said, I don't know why Sayyidina do not ordain you as a priest. I'm going to call you Abuna. Okay. That's before even Sayyidina tell me about the priesthood. So, as I told you, I found myself led, Came here, bought the church, and then the church was done, and then I think back, how did this work? How did it happen? Who did this? I can't recall how things, what, when you put a puzzle together and you put these pieces together, huh? So somebody's putting the pieces together to get this to be done this way. And this is what I'm saying, that we feel the hand of God doing this. Okay. So I cannot say I did something, but I can say that God used me to do whatever His will to be done. And I'm very thankful to that. Challenges at the very beginning of the priesthood, of course, as any young priest coming to a large congregation, was no. I was by myself. I didn't have an elderly priest with me that I serve with him that teaches me. So everything I picked was from Amba Yusuf during the years that I served with him. So it was a kind of a challenge, but at the same time, as Solomon asked God to give him wisdom and give him a ability to lead this large congregation, I asked God to give me wisdom and to lead with me and to help me to be able to lead His people to the right path.
So when looking back on your journey and on your priesthood here in Nashville, what would you like to leave as a legacy in this city and for this community?
Well, as a legacy, I don't want to take a credit for something that I do not deserve, but Pope Shenouda, when he came to Nashville to consecrate the church in the year 2000, he looked at the crowd, and there were so many kids. So he looked at Amba Yusuf and said, Amba Yusuf, Nashville needs a Coptic school. he said a word: Nashville needs a Coptic school. Emma Yusuf acted upon it. In year 2001, we established St. Clement Academy. All right. And that school or academy struggled at the very beginning for a few years, again, with no resources, with no experience, with very diverse community from the people who do not have enough work or enough money, or to the other people who don't believe in the that we should have our children in a school by themselves. So I want them to be with the American people, challenges. So with less money, that we cannot pay teachers, qualified teachers, to many things. So we kept struggling till God willing, at the right time, God provided for a leader to lead the school and to excel and be very successful school. One of the stories that I mentioned about the school, that one day a lady from California called me and say, I want to donate money to the school. But the school is 501c3. I told her I never heard of this before. So I start calling RS and find out to donate the money to the school and the church. So I start asking about, are we 501c3? And then to my surprise, we were not. The church was established in 1987, and now we're here 2000, maybe 2 or 3, I can't remember when, and we're not a 501c3. Matter of fact, when I called, I gave them the EIN number. The lady told me this number does not exist. Period. I told her, we've been in business for 15 years. What do you mean, or more than 15 years? What do you mean it does not exist? She said, this number doesn't exist. And I use this number, the EIN number, in all the banks, all the utility companies, and all over everywhere. But that number does not exist. So what to do? She said, apply for a new number. So I applied for a new number. And then we just found out after that the Call department store wanted to donate money, $10 million, to 20 schools who get the most likes on Facebook. Okay? So each school will gonna get $500,000. So we started having a advertising for it and calling people all over people all over the world start liking St. Clement Coptic Orthodox Academy in Nashville, Tennessee. And if we were not 501c3, we would not get any penny, although we received the most. But we received the 501c3 status, say, in February, and then in April they announced that we received $500,000. So that was also a work of God. And we got the money to have a building. At the same time, those 2 buildings that we have here for the school, we found out on the advertising a school for sale in East Tennessee, about almost 300 miles away from here. So we decided to go and see the building. These buildings were portables. You have to get the company to disassemble them and reassemble them here, So we decided to go and get it. and it was an auction, so we went on the auction and we won the auction. There was two buildings, one building 6 units and the other building 3 units. You know what portables is, modular homes. So we bought the 6 units for $1,000 and the other one for $2,000 or $1,500, something like that. Now we have to get them. We contracted a company to bring these things in. The guy was not a decent person, and he causes lots of problems and troubles. Anyway, he broke one of the units on the highway and left it. And finally, when we talked to him about it, he said, "You can use my insurance. I have an insurance." So we called the insurance. The insurance said, "We're going to take all these buildings and trash them because we cannot find a replacement to the unit. So we're going to take all these units and we're going to give you $94,000 in replacement in return." So we said, "Okay, no, just give me the $94,000 and I will trash them myself. Don't worry about it." So I got the $94,000, and then I paid someone $10,000 to go get the unit that was broken on the highway, and then we fixed the building, and the building became beautiful. And we spent $500,000 plus the $94,000 on furnitures, on equipments, on computers, on high tech and everything. Now we have a beautiful school, and we have now around 250 students, and from preschool all the way to 8th grade. What I am praying to God to allow me to continue with high school. How? I do not know. When? I do not know. But this is what I'm praying for, because it's crucial to have Christian education in this country, as probably you know better than me what's going on in the schools, in the school systems. So this will be a great legacy if I was able to, God help me to continue with this high school.
Well, thank you, Abuna, for coming onto the podcast and taking time to do this. It's really appreciated, and hopefully in some time in the future have you on again.
I really thank you so much. I do not deserve to be on a podcast, but thank you anyway.
Thank you, Abuna. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and see you next week. Thank you.